Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of the Papa D's cooking show at the train in Fordsburg, Johannesburg. Today I'm going to prepare a bit of a different dish for you. It's of Spanish origin, but of course I've added a few of my own tweaks to it. It's going to be a seafood paella. And I'm going to serve this with a tzatziki sauce, which is also a very Mediterranean thing, very popular in Greece. The tzatziki sauce will be made up with a yogurt, some garlic, a pinch of salt. So there's not many ingredients to that, but it's a lovely tasting sauce, and that I'll use as an accompaniment with my paella. Now, like all the traditional Indian cooking, I'm going to start this dish off much in the same way, in that I'm going to braise my seafood as I would with meat or anything else. Also, the prawns that I'm using, I've used it with the shell on, and what I will do, it's been deveined and butterflied. But I don't want to be fighting with it to get the meat out. Once it cooks, it would close up. So instead, I'm actually going to halve them. This will also give you a better quantity in terms of what you have, in terms of the prawns you're serving. It'll actually just give you a bigger volume of the prawns. So I'm going to cut them in half and keep them aside. And firstly, I'm just going to prepare all my fish and all the ingredients that are going in here. Take the head off, peel it from the bottom. My prawns are ready. The next thing I'm going to use is calamari. I like to use calamari steak if possible, but otherwise even these are not bad because they're quite big, and once they're cooked they become quite meaty. So those are my calamaris. Instead of rings, I've cut them up so they'll cook quite nicely. Then I'm using two types of mussels. I'm using the ones with the shell, a few with the shell, for that flavor from the shell as well as the look in the meal. And then I'll also be using some mussel meat only. In terms of fish, I'm using king clip because it's a nice firm fish. Some of the other fish will break up very easily once it cooks. So I'm just going to cut this into pieces here at an angle, almost into strips. My fish is ready. Now in the dish for color, I'm using all three colors of peppers, the red, the green, and the yellow. I'll also be using some spring onions, so I'm going to cut those up right now. I've managed to get the red ones. They're a bit difficult to find from time to time, but when they're available, it's good to use them. Otherwise, just use the regular one, it's fine. I'm not cutting them too thin because I don't want them to dissolve totally. And then I'm leaving a little bit for later on when I serve the dish. I'm going to actually sprinkle these on top. So my ingredients are all ready, and I'm going to run you through the ingredients that I'll be using in the meal. In terms of spices, very importantly, I'll be using some of the Spanish saffron. I've left it in a bit of hot water, and the aroma is amazing. I'm using salt, a little bit of coarse pepper, garlic must. Any seafood dish, garlic and butter are an absolute must to have. I'm using some peas in the rice as well. I've got a little bit, you could use paprika. I've used actually a little bit of a red chili here. Yogurt for the sauce, a little bit of fine white pepper, a little bit of turmeric, also again for color, my tomato puree, and I'm using some aromat here, and of course my butter. For the rice, I've actually soaked the rice for a while. It actually enhances, it helps you to remove the excess starch, as you'll notice the color of the water. and that will make your rice less sticky and it'll be actually fluffy when it cooks. So when I get to the rice, I'm just going to remove the water and put it in. But in the meantime, let me get the cooker open. I'm using the Philips rice cooker here. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I've already preheated it. I'm using oil, and I'm going to use a lot of butter because I want the butter flavor in here. So there's a lot of butter in there. You must remember the rice is also going to absorb the butter and the oil. So don't feel afraid of that. I'm just going to switch this on. So it's on even without the cooker actually working. I've just got it now working as a conventional cooker. I'm going to put in my fish first. I'm adding in my mussels and the mussel meat. I'm going to prepare my peppers. Some of them I'll use in juliennes and some I'll use in little diced portions. So half of it will be diced, half will be in juliennes. Same goes with the green. There we have it. All my ingredients are ready. I'm going to add some curry leaves to the pot when I open, and also just one chili that I've slit. My pot is already sizzling. As I said, I don't want to overcook it. I just want it to release some of its juices, but I don't want to burn them out completely. Into that, I'm going to add the curry leaves. And now my spices. I'm using quite a lot of garlic in here. About 2 spoonsful. Because as I've said with seafood, garlic and butter are your main ingredients there. My pot is sizzling slightly. I'm going to put the rest of my spices in. A little bit of coarse black pepper. Some fine red chilies for the color. Some turmeric, just a little bit. I don't want it too yellow. Pinch of white pepper. Aromat I'm going to use a little bit more of. I'll add in my peas now. Some salt. I'm using about 2 cups of rice, so I'm going to put in about 2 cups of salt as well, 2 teaspoonfuls of salt. Here we go. I can now put the calamari in. Give it a stir. Aromas are already coming through. Fish has its own distinct aromas, and absolutely wonderful ones at that. So that's ready. I'm adding a little bit more oil. There we are. The fish is already turning white, which means it's almost done already. And now lastly, I'm going to put in the prawns and the rest of my ingredients, which are the peppers, red and green, as well as the spring onions. I'm going to give this a stir around again so that all my seafood has mixed nicely. You'll notice I didn't cook the prawns much at all because they are now going to cook with the rice and steam with the rest of the meal. I'm ready to put in my tomato puree now. All my seafood is nicely spread around. I'm going to add my rice in. Here we have it. I've removed the excess water from my rice. Rice is in. I don't want to spoon it too much. After you've got all this in, give it your one last twist around so that the seafood and the rice are evenly distributed. Because I don't want it in layers. I actually want it to cook all together. Now, normally to 2 cups of rice, I would put 2 cups of water for the cooking process. So I've already used the puree, which I'm replacing the water component with. And I'm just going to add a little bit more to it. The right way to look at it is wherever your mark is now, right? And if you look at the markings inside, you look at the markings inside the pot. Here we are. The markings inside, this is now sitting at 4, at the number 4, right? So what I need to do is give it almost that equal amount of water. But because I've got the puree and all that, I'm going to put about 3 cups more water in here. So what I've really done is brought that from the number 4 mark up to the number 6 mark. And there we are. No more spooning or anything. Everything's in place. And I'm ready to close my pot. Bismillah. So here we are. I'm going to open the pot and let's see what the results are. The aroma is beautiful. You can get the saffron coming through as well now. And I'm going to call on Chef Proud to present this meal for us. Chef Proud. So here we have it, a seafood paella served with tzatziki sauce and a nice Greek salad. And that's a wonderful, refreshing Mediterranean meal for you. And that'll be all from us today at Papa D's at the Train in Fordsburg. And until we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.